right. Well, maybe we should get going.
Yeah, we can get going. I'm just emailing the using it because I'm using different devices tonight. Okay, so let's get started. We're just going ahead and open it up. Right. Yeah.
Well, I'll leave it to you, Ralph. Can we do an agenda approval, or are we just moving?
No. Oh yeah. Can we do agenda? Do we need to do agenda approval?
You don't need to approve the
You don't need to
agenda.
approve the agenda.
You can call the meeting to order, follow the agenda, but do not take action to approve the minutes from the last meeting. No action can be taken tonight unless and until we achieve a quorum.
Okay. Okay. So we will now call to order the Reclamation District 900 board meeting. And for now, because we are short of quorum, Tim, please call the roll and you can set who's here.
Okay. Trustee Ledesma,
Here.
President Guerrero.
Here. Okay, pursuant to the Governor's Executive Order N-29-20, members and staff will participate in this meeting via video conference, and public comments can be submitted in writing to admin@rd900.org. And please write public comment on the subject line. The link to watch the meeting is via YouTube at the Reclamation District's 900 website. And next we will go to item number 4, which is the district financial update. Mr. General Manager.
So on that update, there were no significant financial shifts from last month. We were able to have Dustin do a reconciliation of our bank accounts, our bank account, but we were unable to reconcile our treasury account with the county, as we have not received our summary from them for the month of December. We're still awaiting that. So I do not have an update at this, but I intended to send out after this meeting an update as soon as possible when that treasury report is available and we can perform our monthly rectification of the account. So not much to report there.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from the trustees? Mr. Trustee?
No questions. No. Tim, is there, I mean, I think it'll be a little more informal tonight, but
Okay.
yeah, no, but Tim, is maybe I missed it, is the financial report, do we usually have a financial statement or something goes out, or is just?
We typically have a statement of account balances, significant activity, what has come in and out. That is still kind of an ongoing development. Financial reports prior to the LAFCO action were basically bank account registers with all the checks that came in and out, and they were signed by the trustees. Since then, they've become a little more high level, if you will. Just giving a summary of activity. So I'd be open to a discussion of what we'd like to see in the future. But for now, they're fairly high level as far as the activity in the account, balances, how much was deposited, how much was withdrawn. And
It's a very, we don't really carry sort of the complexity of the city's finances, but even having a current statement at a very high level, just so that the board members have an opportunity to see, and you obviously have an opportunity to show that there's transparency or showing out kind of a level of transactions might be helpful.
okay.
I don't, I think because of it's not like, you have, I'm not looking for a full blown financial statement, just enough to kind of have a conversation around that. There's been very few.
Okay, yeah, very good. It's been one of those things, before obviously it was a full blown financial statement with every check and every account, every expense, and that seemed excessive for what we're doing here.
Right.
So Dustin and I will work towards a happy medium and something that is productive for these meetings.
It shows that any activity during the month, starting balance, ending balance, and I think that might be helpful.
Yeah,
Our,
just,
our big hang up this month is just how typically by the 10th or 12th, we have statements from the county treasury, and we're able to rectify our accounts. Most of our deposits for our 218 it goes in December. So in order to account for a significant amount of deposits, we haven't been able to do that because we don't have a report from them. So what we've been waiting on is getting that report. Both Dustin has reached out repeatedly over the last few days, and it's kind of just curious what's going on at the moment. So at least for this month, I will definitely be reaching out with a statement as soon as possible once we are able to get that account and rectify everything, if there's any incongruencies, and then send that along.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay.
With as well next month's report, including both months.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, you're on mute again, Martha.
so yeah, just to have a high level overview of that, which is, just usually helpful for accountability that we are happening. Norma just called. I gave her the link. I don't know if she can find it fast enough. So maybe we'll be able to go back and, cover all the other steps that we missed in just a second here.
Okay.
So you're coming back for number, and the next item, number 5, stipend for trustees, is that based on her inquiry?
Correct. Oh, here she is. 1 second. Good evening, Norma.
Yes, good evening. Apologies.
Okay, so one of the, sorry, I skipped item number 2. Let's go back to item number 1, is to approve the agenda. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Okay, Trustee Alcala moved. Trustee Ledesma second. Please call the roll, Tim.
Trustee Ledesma.
Aye.
Trustee Alcala.
Aye.
President Guerrero.
Aye. All right, it's approved. And we'll move next to item number 2, which is public comments on items not on the agenda. Mr. General Manager, are there any written public comments?
No comments were received or request to speak.
Great. And then we'll move on to next is the item number 3, the consent. Is it the consent calendar, which is approved with the consent calendar and approval of the minutes. So I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review that. And if so, I'll have a motion to approve.
So moved.
All right. Thank you, Trustee Alcala.
Okay.
Second, Ledesma?
Yes.
Okay,
Second. I'm sorry. Okay.
General Manager, please call the roll.
Yeah, Trustee Alcala.
Sorry, I'm having a little trouble here. Aye.
All right. President Guerrero.
Aye.
Trustee Ledesma.
Aye.
Okay. And we have already gone over item number 4, which is the district financial update. And from the discussion, we had an internal discussion. One of the things I didn't open it up to was public comment. Are there any requests for public comment or any letters or anything at this point, General Manager?
No, there are not.
Okay, close up the public comment and then bring it back for discussion. Just to give you background on what we discussed. Trustee Alcala, there will be an update on the financial, like a short, brief, very high level financial statement, which will be given to the trustees on a regular basis. And I just want to make sure you're aware of that and see if you had any questions.
I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we will be receiving that in our city council
No,
email. Is that correct? No?
RD 900 is completely separate from city council. It's a separate board. And so Tim, our general manager, will be sending us the email, and in our packet for our RD 900 meetings, that's when you'll receive it. So we have a chance to look at it and provide, ask questions, provide comments.
Thank you, Mayor. What I was asking was, in which email will it be? I have several email accounts, so I apologize. I wanted to
Oh,
ask.
what
which
did
one.
you, Trustee Orozco's calling in now too, by the way.
Oh.
Okay, so I'm not sure which email our general manager has for you. I get my email updates to my Yahoo account, which is fine because this is a separate, RD 900 is separate from city council.
Mhm. Right, thank you.
Okay, so you may want to just give an email that you feel comfortable sharing. Personal
That's
email.
fine. Yes, I'll do that. Thank you.
And then he'll send your agenda and, Zoom meeting information so that you have all that background information for the meetings. So did you get the agenda and everything for today's meeting?
No, I was actually looking for it and I couldn't find it. I looked through personal email. Maybe I better go into my spam account and see if it's there.
Okay, so maybe that's what happened. Okay, so so you just make sure we get, just to have a conversation with the general manager to get cleared up on what it is that, so you can get that information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And Trustee Orozco, we're on item number 4, and we
Thank
received
you.
a financial update. Just go through this again. We received a financial update, and we are going to be receiving regular financial statements on expenditure, like an expenditure report, so that, if we have any questions or comments or feedback, that we can provide that to our general manager. And the question that came up from Trustee Orozco was, how are we going to be receiving it? And it will come together with our agenda and included in our agenda for discussion.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just if you have any questions or comments for our district financial update, item number 4.
Is that for me specifically or just everyone?
You just because we've already discussed it and I shared with you.
No,
okay.
I don't have any comments. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on to item number 5, stipends for trustees. Mr. General Manager, please, provide a presentation.
Yes. Well, there's very little to present here. Both Ralph and I looked through the records to try to find the source of the previous stipend that was given, which was $100 per meeting attended, and try to find when this was established, how long it was established, and when it was last updated. Neither of us found any conclusions there. So I was going to lean on Ralph here in order to give us an opinion on how we would go about discussing this and deciding on whether to pursue reopening. So.
Okay, and
So,
go ahead.
so with that, generally the board can certainly authorize stipends for meeting attendance if it wishes. There's, as General Manager Mallon said, there's a history for doing that in the district. But that practice ceased, I believe, at the end of 2019 when the new board came on initially. Our district records were unable at this time to locate the authorizing document for the payment of stipends. So nonetheless, if the board wants to move forward with consideration of paying stipends, we can put it on the agenda and we can make general manager and I can make a presentation regarding the legal basis for payment of meeting stipends. You can then discuss and set the amount either on the historical basis or on whatever reasonable basis you believe is appropriate. And then we would adopt that by an appropriate resolution. I do know that if you decide to pay meeting stipends, there's been a change in the law within the past 10 years that requires each board member to participate in ethics training. It's likely ethics training that you already participate in as members of the city council. And there's also some regulatory burdens that will be placed on the general manager that aren't insurmountable. So I think the decision tonight is to decide whether or not the board wants to proceed with an agendized action item and a presentation to more formally consider whether or not board stipends is something that they want to authorize.
So there was, I'm sorry if I may,
ahead.
President, thank you. So there was historical practice of paying a stipend, but there was no authorizing document to go along with it.
Well, there potentially is, I'm almost certain there are, but with
Yeah,
over
right.
100 years of, printed meeting minutes, it's less than easy to go through at this point in time, until those are,
Thank you for reminding me of how old, yeah.
it's a lot of paper to sift through.
Trustee Ledesma, I did check with my predecessor as general counsel, who indicated that there is likely board action in the records, but and he had represented the district for many, many years, and it was something that predated his tenure. So it likely exists. The district is following the law. However, we can't find the document at this yet.
I would suspect that didn't carry over since that Reclamation District 900 board, dissolved and then got transferred over to us, and so that may not have carried over that the stipend authority. I'm not. So that's what I'm assuming here.
Yeah, because I mean, there was a management change, there was a board change, and the practice may not have just carried on. So, and honestly, I'm not sure. I'm at least me personally not interested in pursuing it, especially as usually that's for paying for travel to the meetings and the expense of being somewhere. And at least during the pandemic, we're all on Zoom calls. I'm not sure that's the direction I'm supportive of taking, but that's just my opinion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I guess, what is your title? I guess, is it director?
President.
President, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you. I get all messed up. Thank you, Madam President. I'm curious. The stipends would be taking out of normal monies that would be used for operations from the RDE? Yeah, I mean, we have important work to do. And I mean, obviously none of us in this group are doing this for the money. We wouldn't be able to justify it if we did, but frankly, I mean, I tend to agree. I think that, right now there's, other than just plainly taking the time to be in the meeting and to consider this information, I don't know that I feel comfortable receiving a stipend, especially considering all my conflicts with everything else. But I mean, I'm not opposed to having this opened up later if that's a matter that my colleagues are interested in doing. But I signed up for this work for the sake of the community and not for any financial compensation. So I'd rather that money be going to making sure that our city is in good hands. Not that $100 is really going to make that much of a difference, but cumulatively over time, I think it could.
It's okay. It's not your alarm. You're wondering.
I thought it was me.
President Guerrero?
Yes.
I'm fine also not pursuing a stipend, since I think a point was made by council member, or what are we, trustees here on this board?
Yes, we are.
Okay, all right. Well, Trustee Ledesma, we don't have to travel. I would just think if at some point, and I think Trustee Orozco brought up a very good point, unless in the future we have to travel, and then maybe we can just charge mileage. I know that's what we would get on the school board when we had to go into Woodland. So that I think would be something that would be important. If we do have to travel sometime in the future, that we do get reimbursement per mileage.
Okay, that's a good point. Which I do think we do get mileage reimbursement for all, on city council, we would bill city council. So if we had a council assignment and we had to drive to Woodland, we can submit an expense claim. And there is a particular form if we're interested in going down that path that would have to be created. So we have some level of like receipt and accountability, administrative accountability on your end if there's some kind of audit and inquiry about where this money went to. And in this case, given that, I'd rather give, one of our reclamation district 900 workers, a bonus considering everything they've been going through, for doing this work because they do some hard work out there, major significant labor to make sure that the city's safe. So thank you, Trustee Alcala, for bringing this to our attention and making us aware and bringing this discussion up so that we can explore what happened. And yes, Mr. Neves.
Madam President, if in the future the district does want to authorize payment for mileage or other incidental costs associated with meetings, that's something we would have to bring back to the board as an agenda item and approve and adopt a resolution. I believe it would also trigger those ethics requirements. It's not hard to do. We can do it, but it's something that will have to be done in the future if the board decides to go that direction.
Okay. Are we required to have an ethics course along, because we have to have one with our city council, and I don't think I've ever submitted anything for this RD 900 board.
As long as you do it every 2 years on the city council, you're covered for your ethics training requirement for this board as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
May I ask, President Guerrero, do we file the form? We do file the Form 700 though for this group, correct?
Right.
Oh, we do? Okay. We have? Okay, I don't remember, but that's okay. Oh, yes, I do remember now.
Yeah,
So-
I just received the notice for everyone a couple days ago. So
Me
Okay.
too.
Yeah, we got to understand. And the only thing, Madam President, is just the consideration of the expense, right? That it's. Sorry, Maria's doing dishes right now, so I can hear her in the background. But the added burden of we're putting on Tim, we need to consider that. So yeah, it is. We're saving money, but it's Tim and it's small office, so we got to think about that too as this goes forward. I just want to make sure we had that thought in mind because administering code of ethics, administering expenses, it's just we got to think about that if it comes back. So I just want to make that point.
Okay, good. And so just, we haven't had a chance to open it up for public comment. So I'll open it up for public comment at this point. Any general manager, any written
no
comment?
comment, Steve.
We close it up and we'll, I guess, move to our next item because there's no action or no action requested. So there's no motion needed here. Thank you for that update and researching this, on behalf of Trustee Alcala and us, for all of us that were interested in this. Next item is item number 6, update on the Blacker Canal Stabilization Project permitting process. General Manager, do you have a presentation on this?
I do not have a presentation. The materials I've provided you give us an update on the reports produced by Marcus Bowen Associates in order to get the ball rolling on our end of the process. This is where I have Marcus in attendance. What I wanted to open this up to is question and answer as to where we are at in the process and heading towards our environmental process, if you will. Sorry. Anyways, I'll hand this over to Marcus. He can give a little synopsis of where we're at, and then hopefully if we have any questions between himself and myself, that we can answer those.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marcus, for being here today.
Oh, you're very welcome, and it's my privilege. The process has been going well, if not slow, partially because of FEMA is a part of the process. And we're still trying to figure out exactly where they are with theirs. So we've been running a parallel course with them to make sure that the environmental issues have been addressed, the biological, the wetlands, and the permitting. And part of the permitting process is the initial study, mitigated negative deck, that your board will be reviewing and at some point, hopefully approving. And then we can take that CEQA document and then we can move forward with the state permits. The federal permits have all been more or less taken care of by FEMA. And so we're on really good track to move forward with this when Tim and his people want to start their dirt moving sometime later this summer. But I guess the appeal that I may have is that the CEQA process for the state permits is critical. And once the board reviews the initial study, mitigated negative deck, and then decides to make a decision to move forward, then we can publish it. It goes to the public and it goes to the state clearinghouse, and then it's approved. And then we can then use that document then to get the California Department of Fish and Wildlife permit and the Regional Water Quality Control Board permit. If they're even going to offer permits, the feds have said that the maintenance only is not going to be subject to federal permitting, which is nice. I mean, the EPA made some rulings recently that said some of these actions that are performed in drainage ditches are not subject to federal permitting. And so they've passed on that. The state normally follows the Fed lead, but they're now more into a case-by-case basis. I think there's, so we still have to submit the permit applications to them, and they may come back and say, no permits required. In any case, we're relatively sure, I mean, quite relatively sure that there aren't going to be any adverse environmental impacts or probably any comment from the public on it, because it's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, the ditch needs to be fixed. So that's all. It's a maintenance thing.
No, my phone's just people give me kudos and shit. And
What? Greg? Okay. Go ahead, Marcus.
I mean, I'm available both, at your board meetings if you'd like, or I can in any format that you would like to go over any of the work that's been done up to this point. It's been really straightforward. We haven't run into any controversial issues. We didn't expect to, but it's all part of the process now of doing anything that when you start moving equipment around and doing things, you're required to do your environmental review and due diligence, which I think has been done. Now it's just a matter of dotting the I's, crossing the T's, getting the CEQA document out, and then we're moving forward.
Thank you. Just want to take it back to the trustees to see if they have any questions.
No questions. Actually, enjoyed the presentation. Thank you, Marcus.
Thank you. Okay, and I do have a quick question on kind of like you did go over a timeline, sort of like the sequencing of when something starts and who else needs to get, if we're going to get permits and things like that. What is the actual like date timeline? Do you see it happening in about a year or from your?
Well, from the time that's a good question. From the time that the initial study, mitigated negative deck, is approved, we have a 30-day comment period, and then of course it's goes to the state clearinghouse, and all of that gets people can regulatory agencies can comment on it if they choose, and then we have to answer those comments. But after that, that document's complete. Usually it's about a 6-week process to do the state permits. They're quicker to get them than the federal permits. So, if this thing goes out, if let's say on the next board meeting, you've had enough chance to review the documents and say, well, let's go forward with this and approve it. So then we're talking 30 days to have it go through the public comment period, and then another 6 weeks. So we're talking end of February, end of March, and by probably the end of April, we could have all of our entitlements and be ready to move dirt.
That's fast. Okay. Is there, like a process where, and it looks like you've done that, looking for public comment, you post things, but for the neighbors to be aware, I know the city will post something and they'll announce, and they have a good social media network to let people know what's happening. Do you have a similar process once things get started to notify people? Because you'll be seeing big trucks or whatever moving dirt, or maybe not. Maybe it's not even, maybe you don't even see it. I just don't know.
No, there is a process, and we will be actually notifying all the adjacent property owners by mail of what we're doing and have them comment. The only thing that we've seen up to this point that could be a comment was some of the trees that were planted along one segment of the ditch were more ornamental type trees, and they were planted with kind of the idea of shielding people's backyards from seeing the ditch and everything. Some of those trees are actually falling into the ditch because the ditch is coming apart, and some of those trees are going to have to be removed. And I know that's going to cause some people concern, but I've talked with Tim about this. If we need to put a replanting of some trees back in their place, we could make those trees more environmentally friendly trees than the ones that are out there now. And I think that that would be a well-received gesture on our part if we choose to do that, a planting plan. And that would be part of our public outreach, saying that, no, we're just not going to cut a bunch of trees down. We'll find a way to successfully replace them with better trees.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that's something I fully anticipate. And I've talked to Marcus about is during the public outreach to have something incorporated in the plan for that potentially. I know I've already had conversations with a couple of the neighbors during some of our walks for the environmental review, where I was able to get a little background on the tree planting, why they're there, who put them there, and so forth, and appreciate the public's appreciation for those trees and having something there in the end. So I'm anticipating something during our comment period on that, and taking that to heart when we do our final design.
Thank you.
I-
Trustee Orozco?
Thank you. I really like that idea, Marcus. I mean, when you said about the public outreach and ensuring that, maybe we replant with, something that's a little bit more environmental friendly, or, I think that there is a great opportunity in that. I shouldn't say nobody. There are a lot of people that have RD on the radar, but there's an opportunity to really kind of show what RD 900 can do and what they've been doing, but also highlighting, a current, positive. To that end, I mean, folks are always, and President Guerrero knows this too. People are always really hungry to get involved. And I don't know if this is that situation, but to the extent you invite members of the community to even help, of course, under the supervision of someone who knows what they're doing, not just planting trees, anywhere willy-nilly, but, you just imagine, there are folks that have been cooped up in their homes for months on end, and they want an opportunity to get involved in some type of service. I don't know, just thoughts. It doesn't have to be this one. It's just keeping that on the radar for future, opportunities. So thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good thought.
All right, thank you. And I can't remember if I opened up for public comment, but I think I did already. So we will. No, I didn't. So I'll open it up for public comment. And General Manager, is there anything on this particular?
No comments were received on this.
Okay, thank you. We'll close the public comment. And do we need to accept the report or do anything? Any action needed for this?
No
okay.
action.
All right. All right, thank you. So we'll move on to our next item. Thank you so much, Marcus, for joining us in the presentation and all the work that you're doing on this. I know it's a lot of work, so greatly appreciate your effort on this. So next item is item number 7, the informational items, which is the General Manager's report.
Yes. So on this, beginning with what I have as administrative services, so the Drever remodel process is, I won't say it's underway, but it's mobilizing. The contractor has been moving on site, taking into account and looking at the demo process and the material that needs to be removed from the building, the debris, wrapping their head around that. I will be going to their offices on Monday to receive an executed contract. The permitting process with the city for the plans, those were, they had a round of comments the first time they went in. They went back in yesterday with no initial comments. So those are well and underway, and we received a demo only permit along with those while they're under review. And I guess nothing else there on Drever. We should have a lot more exciting news by the next meeting, hopefully. Actually have some construction underway. As far as operations, flood control, we just continue to seal off the levees. I mean, that's been our biggest battle, is keeping out these motorcycles, ATVs, fishermen, I mean, you name it. We continue to have very good outreach from the public, emails with specific pictures of where to seal off and who's getting in and what. So it's been very helpful. The public has been extremely helpful on this. So we continue to do our work and appreciate that. We've also continued along with our tree trimming along Bridge District, the river levees where the Strength in Place project was in 1718. This is all going back to core requirements for clearance of vegetation above both the crown and the slopes for both rodent control and visibility. So those are doing quite well. As far as internal drainage, nothing to report this time. We've just been doing a lot of cleanup, especially after this last windstorm, in preparation of what may be or may not be another storm moving through. Hopefully, we could definitely use the moisture. Everything's still quite dry. As far as moving down to capital improvements, obviously you got the update on Blacker. I don't believe there's anything else to report there. As far as agency coordination, the next exciting one is the potential with the acquisition of MA4 and going down the road of bringing that into the fold of RD900. I've been informed by Douglas City that they're pursuing two different paths along with West Safeco. One is the path we pursued last year, which just failed to go through, is just part of the minutia of everything going on with COVID. And then another path is as a trailer to a budget, in which it could be pushed through rather rapidly. I mean, we could see that in the next couple of months. And with that, all of our partners at Central Valley Flood Protection Board are all queued up to help us through this entire process. But until we get through this step of incorporating the boundary of MA4 into the statutes of RD900, there's nothing more they can do. So as soon as this happens, we will jump on those conversations with Central Valley and go down the road of continuing that, and followed up with conversations with DWR and working through well, their concerns with maintenance and operation for the future. So that's pretty exciting. Maybe that's something we will see this year, hopefully, to be seen with legislation. As far as West Africa updates, I continue to respond to, reach out, work with for various maintenance aspects of the design to make sure that it works with what RD900 does and what we need to see in the future. And then I lean on I lean on Greg here. Sorry, Greg. Give us any background on funding and such.
Good evening, Tim. Good evening, board members. I think most of you probably already heard either from me or others that the Fed project, and Tim, this may be news to you, that the West Sacramento project did not receive a construction new start or construction funding in the 2021 work plan, which is a huge disappointment, but nevertheless, we'll keep progressing. So we are still involved with the Corps in wrapping up the design for the Yolo Bypass East Levee. We're just weeks away of submitting the final 100% plan set to the Corps, which will wrap up that design. And then at that point, it will essentially be put on the shelf until such time that there's construction funding, and then we can move forward with the Corps to construct that project. We're also proceeding, and there doesn't seem to be any reason to stop, with wrapping up the environmental work. So there's a CEQA aspect. I think we're doing a mitigated neg deck, which will likely, in which Wasafeca's the lead, and we'll be taking that to our board probably in March. And the Corps is doing the NEPA side. They'll do their determination about the same time. But that will probably wrap up for this year the design effort on that first or next increment, the Yellow Bypass East Levee. In terms of where we're looking to get funding and a new start, we're hopeful that there'll be a infrastructure stimulus package put out by the Biden administration. And the indications are there should be significant funding for the Corps, their civil works program. And under that bill, we would, and if the bill is authorized, we would look to the Corps to request a new start and significant construction funding for our project. If that can happen in the next 60 days, then we may be able to maintain our construction schedule for this year. Outside of a 60-day, new start, that will likely have to be postponed until next year. And we're meeting with the Corps next week to outline a plan on how we stay engaged and keep advancing work so that we don't minimize as much time as possible lost on advancing our project. So we're going to be looking at doing some additional investigations and design work on the next increment after the Yellow Bypass, which is along the Sacramento River in the north area. So that's sort of, that's the high level nutshell view of what we're going to be working on over the course of the next 12 months. Funding is, getting the new start and funding under whatever vehicle we can is the highest priority. And again, if an economic stimulus doesn't come through, we'll be looking at the normal work plan process associated with the 2022 appropriations bill and subsequent work plan. So.
Thank you, Greg.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that.
And then I thought I heard I was doing something. I was kind of multitasking earlier, and I thought I heard the name. Did I miss a question earlier?
No, we could hear you. We just wanted you to mute your mic.
I muted you, Greg.
We could hear you were carrying a conversation, so I just wanted you to be aware.
Oh, apologies.
So, I did want to say thank you for your hard work, and I know you were on top of it, and included that additional language to secure that momentum, which isn't always a guarantee, but very disappointing that California was targeted, for those slated cuts, and not surprising with this administration, where just revenge is part of how people get back at just things that we've done in the past. But hopefully, I'm still optimistic we can try to secure something in the next 30 days, try to get something going. We're still in that clock where we can maybe, and I don't know if there is a relief package in the next 30 days to achieve that, or if we can do it administratively still. Does it have to be in a new appropriative, package, or can it be done administratively at this point?
So my understanding is the only way that this can be done is through an additional funding package that would have to be authorized by Congress. I don't think there's anything that can be done that can, let's say, retroactively go back and amend the work plan. Those monies and new starts were reallocated to other projects. So to go back and redo that, I just don't think that's possible. So I think we're looking at Congress to authorize funds, whether through a COVID relief or a separate bill that would, be more targeted towards infrastructure and getting people back to work through jobs. Whatever vehicle avails itself, we're going to be pushing hard to be a part of it.
Okay, that's a good plan. I do know that the president did put out his budget package, probably not aware of all these cuts that were going to happen. So to whatever we can do to help you out, we're here to provide that support.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's hugely disappointing. So
Yeah.
not you, then what?
It may feel like you, Greg, but it's not meant to you.
Okay. And my last item is development coordination. I don't have a whole lot to report on that. We just continue on with coordinating with both Courtyard and with the Linden Trailhead. But again, hasn't been a whole lot of change in either one of those. The Linden Trailhead has had some reductions in scope, if you will, that they've made some new drawings on that I will be discussing with them in the near future. But again, no significant changes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from the trustees? No questions? Okay. Just open it up for public comment. Any public comment?
None.
Public comment, close the public comment period and move to the next item is trustee reports and updates. Any reports from the trustees? No reports. All right. So I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Trustee Alcala moved and trustee Ledesma second. General manager, please call the roll.
Yeah. Trustee Ledesma,
Hi.
trustee Alcala,
Aye.
trustee Orozco,
Aye.
President Guerrero.
Aye. All right. We are now adjourned. Thank you so much, everybody, for everything.
Thank you.
All right. Take